change is coming to your life. I've been reflecting the last couple of days, and I've realized that there's some adjustments I need to make, but for whatever reason I'm very confident on the second half of this year and what it has to bring. So I've been touching back on myself and trying to realign myself with what's in my heart. And that brought me back to, that scene from BoJack Horseman where Hollyhock talks to BoJack and she says, that little voice that calls you stupid, that calls you worthless, that calls you ugly. And she asks BoJack if that voice goes away. And I think we all have some kind of experience with that voice. The little doubt that destroys you. Even if it's not directly, but it slowly begins to destroy you. It's that little voice that creates even the most positive, joyful situations into something negative. And that voice does go away. And the way that voice goes away is through readjustments. It's through shifting of focus. It's through changing the lens. So the way that you silence the negative thoughts and the negative energy, and the way that you can cleanse yourself of it, is through readjustment. Look at things a slight different way. Why do you think some people can be in really shitty situations in life and still be happy, but some can be in significantly better situations and still feel bad about themselves? It's never just solely based off external things and what you have. You have to look deep inside, internally, and you have to face the problems. You have to look deep within yourself and understand your wrongings, right? The things that you're doing wrong and the things that you constantly see in other people that you do yourself, but continue to judge, right? So until we can make the own internal adjustments, there's not going to be any getting better. The voice is going to stay as loud as it is. So, and the biggest problem is that change is scary. Change is so scary because what is going to happen? Right? It's like we're losing control of our lives for a second. But the reality is that in itself is life. We've evolved up to this point, right? So what is the next point going to look like? What do we have to do to make it to the next point? That's the questions you have to ask yourself. And sometimes you have to endure things because life is difficult. And when you're dealing with this voice, with all this self-doubt, with all this negativity, with all this, self-sabotage, you have to create the light yourself. You have to welcome the light. Right? You can't just sit there and continue to dread and listen to everything the voice is telling you. You have to create the light. And that's the main thing, right? How do we create the light? There's a lot of stuff in here. All right. There's a lot of stuff in that heart of yours that hasn't been able to get out. That hasn't been able to really show itself because you're limiting it. So when you're looking to make adjustments to your life, when you're looking to silence all that self-sabotage, all that negative, all that self-doubt, you have to look deep in your heart. And all the values and all the things that are deep in your heart that have never seen the light of day, you have to bring them out into the light of day. Right? Even if it's not don't think about it as a get rich scheme or this is the quick way to happiness. No, because everything is a process. That's life. Right? But what we're doing right now is we're putting together the puzzle. Right? So our joy is in this puzzle. So we're just putting it together piece by piece. So sometimes, you can't just work. Because you're gonna burn out, and you're gonna sit there and feel horrible about yourself, and the voice is gonna get louder and louder. So look in here and turn in here and light up the room. Right? Don't allow yourself to just be sitting in the dark for too long, because it's only gonna get darker. So I want to look over this other quote from BoJack Horseman. It gets easier. It gets easier every day, but you have to do it every day. And that's the hard part. So when we're looking at consistency, right? People think that you're either at 100% or you're not. Let's use the gym for an example. Sometimes you're going to be there and you're going to be as pumped as possible. And you're going to do this crazy workout that's going to have you feeling great. And sometimes you're going to walk in there on 4 hours of sleep with not much to go on, and you're still going to work out. And you're not going to feel said pump. You're not going to feel the exact same way every time. But that's not what consistency is. Consistency is simply doing, right? Consistently doing. That's consistency. Consistent effort doesn't have to be 100% all the time. That's impossible. We're human, right? So the type of effort that comes from within, right? The type of effort is the best that you can produce. All right. So some days that's 30%. Some days that's 10%. I'm going to put this picture up here, right? I'm going to put it right here on top of my hand. This picture is the best example you'll get. Sometimes there's a full circle, and sometimes you only have a slight tad bit of shading, and that is okay because the circle isn't empty. And you have to give yourself credit for that too. Okay? You have to understand that in you showing up, you're winning. All right. I know the big goal is to look a certain way, to do a certain thing, to have set amount of this thing, right? But we're not skipping through the ladders. We can't make it to this last step on the stairs if we are stuck on the first two, or if we never even get on the stairs, right? So you are on the stairs now. And even if you don't know it, you're doing great. Why? Because most people don't even make it on the first step, but you have. So every single day it gets a little easier because you get more comfortable with doing it tired. You get more comfortable with doing it when you simply don't want to. Do it tired. Why? Because that is the difference between you cheating yourself and you just sitting around and creating more scenarios in your head, right? We're done just creating scenarios in our head. We're going to create the reality. All right. So when we're going off of it again, off of this little voice in our head that just continuously tells us bad things about ourselves and how we really feel about ourselves, we're going to focus on the things that we want to do, right? And that is exactly how you create change. You leave the system that is constantly draining you. Well, not leave it, but, you mentally leave it. And you allow yourself to focus on the things that you want, the things that you're passionate about, the things that are in your heart. Because at the end of the day, that is all we have, our heart. One day we're all going to be judged, and the Lord is going to look at our hearts. So while we're here, we're going to follow what's in here. And in this step of change that's coming for you in the second half of this year, I want you to focus on pursuing what you've said that you were going to start. So if you've been telling yourself you're going to start hitting the gym consistently and it's been 4 months or it's been a year, start now. This is the movement of creating for us, right? So if we want to have an impact on ourselves, we have to take initiative, right? And I know that's difficult to say. Maybe let's start small. Maybe let's start with 8,000 steps a day, going out and just walking, not necessarily hitting the gym. And that just brings us back to small and big wins. We don't want to focus on just big wins. I'll always use this example, $1 million, right? Making $1 million is difficult, almost impossible, right? But to make that million, you have to make the first 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, right? You have to slowly climb, right? That is small wins. The same way you celebrate the million, you have to celebrate the 1,000, because 1,000 is what gets you there, right? It's your beginning. And the more that you practice this gratitude, the more you will get back. The more this voice will be silenced. Gratitude is the key. Gratitude is the start. Because an ungrateful person is not blessed. An ungrateful person is not... An ungrateful person is limiting themselves. All right, so let's focus back up on climbing the stairs. And being grateful for every single step of the way, because it's not easy, but you have started. You're here. Give yourself credit. All right, be grateful for the ability to make it here. So to wrap things up, we're going to look at acceptance. And we're going to look at that scene in BoJack Horseman where Todd tells BoJack, "You are all the things wrong with you." And in that scene, we understand a very human emotion, or human nature, if you want to call it that, where we tend to overlook everything else, right? We tend to try to blame our environment, everything around us. We look everywhere but within. And if we want to create change, we have to accept what the problem is, why we keep seeing the specific result, why we keep experiencing this specific thing. And that is because we are said problem. We are the common denominator. We are the reason that the same cycle continues happening. And that sucks. Like, that is one of the hardest things to accept. And it honestly leaves you with like this mark, like, what am I doing wrong? And it's so much more difficult to just take something out of your life than it is to change yourself. from bad habits to just behaviors or values that you're looking at incorrectly. Because you can completely believe this certain set of morals and be wrong. So sometimes you have to see yourself as the problem and see what you can do to change this result, to change this cycle that continues happening, to be the difference, right? So you have to take matters into your own hands sometimes and accept what the issues are. And the issues aren't here. The same way that this is the answer to everything, it could also be what's wrong with everything, right? So we have to look internally and dig deep to really understand where we stand or what we can do to properly live through this time of change in our lives, because that's what it's gonna be. It's gonna be these prolonged times of change, and that it gets draining. It's difficult. You're gonna be tired. You're gonna be working extra. You're gonna be doing more, and that sucks because it's out of the norm, right? Because you're entering a new norm. But I'll tell you this about change. Accept your feelings. The same way you have to accept your surroundings or accept that you might be the problem. Accept the way you feel. Whether that's a positive or negative. Accept it and understand that you can walk away from said thing, or that you can change the way you're looking at said thing. Right? So you are this thing, right? You are this non-perfect thing that shouldn't worry about perfect at all. And in you accepting where you currently stand, you can learn to express that gratitude and be grateful for yourself, right? Be grateful to the Lord for putting you here. Be thankful for making it up to this point, because you weren't here previously. You had to make yourself come here. So give yourself credit. That's the word for today. That's the word for the rest of this year. Give yourself credit. All right. Because you deserve it too. And you deserve all the things coming your way. So for doing everything up to this point, I'm proud of you. And I hope that you can be proud of yourself too. So continue to be kind to others. Continue to be kind to yourself. And continue to build and do your part as you've been doing. And don't forget to be grateful for where you are and to give yourself the credit that you deserve. You know, it doesn't have to come from anybody else. It can come right from here. All right. This can be happy for this.